What is up, guys? RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'm doing my NFL Week 9 predictions. I'm gonna predict that like I do every week, sort of give my analysis on the game, etc., and then pick who I think is gonna win. So, first game we have started off my favorite team in the NFL, Miami Dolphins, primetime TV. Let's go, Fins. Thursday night, NFL Network, 8:30, maybe 8:25 actually. But the Dolphins, my team, start out 3-0, and ever since then we've gone downhill. We've lost four straight. Last week we lost to the Patriots. We were up 14-0, ended up losing 27-17. And we lost a tough one to the Bills the week before, 23-21. It's just been really some tough losses. We lost to the Ravens by 3. There's just been always close losses. And, ever since we got killed by New Orleans, we haven't won a game since. um, but what are you going to do, I guess? At this point, if you're a Dolphins fan like myself, I don't expect a ton from year to year. But when they do go 3-0, you catch your eye a little bit, and maybe this year will be different. But they've still got time to turn it around. It's only halfway through the season. But back to that, Thursday night football, we're playing against the Bengals, Cincinnati. It's in Miami. Um, Cincinnati's 5-2, really impressive so far this year. They killed the Jets last week, 49-9, which was very impressive. But it's at Miami, Thursday night football. The fans will be behind us. You know what? I think I'm gonna pick the Dolphins. It'll be a close game. I could see it being like a 24-21 kind of last second field goal or last touchdown drive. But I'm picking the Dolphins. Probably a little bit biased pick, but you know what? Heck, uh, the Dolphins is my pick. I think they'll show up Thursday night football ready to go and bring all they got in the gas tank. So yeah, my pick, Miami Dolphins, in a good close game. The next game we have is the Kansas City Chiefs, undefeated, the only undefeated team left, 8-0, at the Buffalo Bills, who lost 1 to the New Orleans Saints last week. Thaddeus Lewis has a rib injury right now, so he's listed as questionable. If he doesn't play, then they've got Matt Flynn who played for Oakland, and Toole, who's their other quarterback, practicing if Thaddeus Lewis can't go on Sunday. It's at Buffalo. Kansas City really has played a lot of, even though they're 8-0, they haven't played a ton of impressive teams. They barely beat the Browns 23-17 last week. A win's a win. With the Browns, one of my other teams, the Browns, Dolphins, and Saints, if you don't know. But the Browns, we lost a close one there too. Jason Campbell played all right for us, but Chiefs squeaked it out. We are up 14-3 in that game. So it's just a lot, but I think even though it is at Buffalo, I don't see the Chiefs losing, especially without. If it was maybe E.J. Manuel who was playing, I could see there'd be a chance. There's still a chance if Thaddeus Lewis plays. If he doesn't play, I'd expect Matt Flynn to go in probably over Toole, and it'd be a good game because Flynn's a good quarterback himself. But I'm going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to remain undefeated after this week and probably squeak one out again in a close game than probably what people think. So my pick, Chiefs to improve to 9-0. And the Buffalo Bills to drop to 3-6. Excuse me. The next game, the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, first time over 500 since '08. My good friend Dave the Wave, 1994 on YouTube, big Panthers fan, gave me that statistic. So credit to Dave for that. And I saw it on NFL Network after he told me, but Dave told me first. So credit to my man Dave the Wave 1994 on YouTube. That's a cheap plug for Dave. But the Falcons won to the Cardinals last week, 27-13 in Arizona. The Panthers won 31-13 on Thursday Night Football last week. The Falcons, very off year, 2-5, not doing so hot this year. Matt Ryan's not playing his best football. The Falcons just altogether aren't playing their best football as a whole. It's not it's not the defense or the offense. It's just all together as a team. They're not all clicking on the same level. You know, even though it is at, it is at Carolina. I think Atlanta has a chance to beat Carolina. But I'm going to go with Carolina to keep riding the momentum they have right now because they're on a 2-game winning streak, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even 3, I can't exactly remember. But they're doing pretty well. I think Carolina's going to keep the momentum going. And I think Cam Newton and the Panthers are going to... Jonathan Stewart's expected to play from what I hear, so that's good news for Panthers. And my pick, the Carolina Panthers to emerge victorious over the Atlanta Falcons and improve to 5-3. The next game, Minnesota Vikings at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm guessing that Christian Ponder will play again. Josh Freeman has a concussion. I'm not exactly sure when he's expected to come back. Ponder played last Sunday night against the Packers. They lost 44-31. The Vikings did. Dallas lost a tough one again to the Detroit Lions, 31-30. It's been the story of Dallas past couple years, losing a lot of close games when they need to win them in the clutch and can't do it. But Dallas, they've got a chance. They're tied. They're in first place in the NFC East with a 500 record at 4-4. Generally, this is probably the worst year combined for all the NFC East teams, and gosh knows when. The Vikings are 1-6, dead last in the NFC North. Not looking good for them this year so far. It's sort of a toss-up, to be perfectly honest with you. I could see Minnesota if Ponder plays well, but it's at Dallas. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to pick up the win here and improve to 5-4. I could see Minnesota winning, but I'm going with Dallas, especially at home. So, yeah, my pick, the Dallas Cowboys. The next game we have New Orleans Saints, my other team. Yes, I have 3 teams, whatever. A loyal fan to all 3 of them, and a diehard of all 3 of them. So, this game, New Orleans, Who Dat Nation, baby. We picked up the win last week, 35-17 over Buffalo, to improve to improve to 6-1. We had from what I saw, I was at work, but I was watching some of the game at work. We had a good game from what I saw. It was close at first, from the glimpses that I saw when I was wiping down tables. It was we looked all right. But then then the Jets lost a tough one, 49-9 last week. Not looking. That was a pretty ugly loss. It's at New York. I could see them picking up the win, but I'm going with the New Orleans Saints, my team, Who Dat Nation, to improve to 7-1. I think the offense is going to overpower the Jets' defense. The Jets' defense isn't too phenomenal to begin with. So my pick, the New Orleans Saints, to pick up the victory. The next game we have, Tennessee Titans at the St. Louis Rams. Another 1 o'clock game. You got Tennessee, who's 3-4. Jake Locker's back. You got St. Louis. Sam Bradford's out for the year. They made it a lot closer. They proved me wrong. I picked the Seahawks to kill them. They didn't. They only lost 14-9. The Rams did to the Seahawks. So good job for them. Sorry, my friend Dave's messaging me. Alright, I apologize for that little delay. Back to the Tennessee-St. Louis game. You've got St. Louis, who Sam Bradford's out for the year with the ACL. It's not looking too good for St. Louis this year. St. Louis is 3-5, last in the NFC West, and then you've got the Tennessee Titans, who are 3-4, second in the AFC South, a little bit behind the Colts, who are 5-2, but they still got time to turn it around. Even though it is at St. Louis, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, Jake Locker, I think they're going to pick up the win here, even though it's at St. Louis. I don't see Kellen Clemens and the Rams winning a whole lot of games. Yeah, my pick, Tennessee Titans, but I think it'll be pretty close, decent, low scoring probably, like a 17-13 type game. But my pick, Tennessee Titans, to improve to 500. The next game we have San Diego Chargers at Washington Redskins, Sunday at 1 o'clock, the final 1 o'clock game. San Diego, who's 4-3, and Washington Redskins, who are 2-5. Washington had Denver and decent on the last leg. Denver came back and ended up winning that game. Chargers had a bye last week, so they'll have some rest going into this game, but they're going to have to travel all the way across the country to Washington, so it'll be a rough travel probably, even though it is by plane. But that doesn't really take into account anymore, especially with the rest. They've been able to practice. Even though it is at Washington, I could easily see the Chargers winning here. But I'm going to go with Washington. You know, I think RG3 and Washington Redskins are going to pick up the win and bounce back from the couple tough losses they've had this year. So my pick, Washington Redskins, in a pretty good game. So now we've got our first of the 4 o'clock games, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Oakland Raiders. Raiders picked up a win last week, 21-18 over the Steelers. They were up 21-3. Steelers almost came back and won. Came up just short, and Oakland wins to improve to 3-4. Not having too bad of a year. Then you got Philly, who lost 15-7 last week. Matt Barkley played another lousy game, and today they just announced, the Eagles, that Nick Foles will start this week for the Philadelphia Eagles. So you'll have Nick Foles starting, so no more Matt Barkley for now for your Eagles fans. Lost 15-7 last week. It's at Oakland. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Oakland Raiders to pick up the win here. I think it'll be a good, close game, sort of like the Steelers. But heck, if they can beat the Steelers, I think they can beat the Eagles. Now, Nick Foles is pretty good, but he's no Ben Roethlisberger. So if they can beat the Steelers, I think they could beat the Eagles. So my pick, the Oakland Raiders, to improve to 4-4, 500. I hope Terrell Pryor plays well for you Raiders fans, because you really never know what you're going to get. Then the next game we have, another 4 o'clock game, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Seattle Seahawks. Tampa Bay is 0-7. Rough start for them this year. Lost one 31-13. Then you've got the Seattle Seahawks, who are 7-1, so it's a complete opposite. It's at Seattle. I really don't see Tampa Bay winning. I mean, there's a chance, of course, it can happen any given week, any given day. But my pick, I think the Seahawks are going to pick up the win here with Russell Wilson. Sidney Rice is out for the season. They announced that today as well, the wide receiver. But I think Golden Tate has had that controversial penalty for showboating towards the end when he scored that touchdown. But you know what? They're playing Tampa. No offense to Tampa fans. 0-7, really lopsided game. My pick, Seattle Seahawks to pick up the win. Next game we have Sunday, 4:25, Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Jason Campbell should be playing again. He had a pretty good week last week, so it's looking somewhat promising. You know, at this point, I'm not optimistic that we'll make the playoffs by any means. We're 3-5, third in the AFC North. The Ravens are 3-4, just a little bit better. second. You know, it's at Cleveland, but Baltimore is the defending Super Bowl champs. Joe Flacco, Ray Rice, still got some of their defense even though Ray Lewis is gone. I'm going to go and pick the Baltimore Ravens as much as I want to pick my Browns. I can't do it. I've got to pick the Baltimore Ravens, unfortunately, to pick up the win. Oh man, that was not easy because not a big fan of the Ravens. But you know, whatever. The next game, Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots, Sunday, 4:25. Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-5, coming off a rough loss last week to the Raiders, 21-18, just when it looked like they were turning it around. New England, who is 6-2, beat the Dolphins last week on that comeback. They were down 14-zip, won 27-17. It's at New England. I could see Pittsburgh pulling off the win. They did beat the Ravens. They could pull it off anytime. They've been really inconsistent this season, though. Not very high scoring. Their defense is pretty solid, Pittsburgh's. New England, Tom Brady's Tom Brady. You'll always get a decent game at worst, to be honest. I'm going to go and pick New England to pick up the win. They'll get the home field advantage. I think it'll be a pretty close, competitive game for the most part. So my pick, the New England Patriots to pick up the win. Sunday night football, Indianapolis Colts at Houston, rivalry, 5-2 Colts, 2-5 at the 2-5 Houston Texans. Schaub's hurt. Whether he'll play, I'm not exactly sure. I think Case Keenum's going to get the start again. T.J. Yates is just T.J. Yates. So I think they're starting Keenum again, going with him. They had the bye last week, so maybe give him time to rest. But, you know, I think Andrew Luck and the Colts will be too good for the backup Case Keenum. Case Keenum, he's good. He played good college ball at University of Houston. Played well there. From what I've seen so far, in his only start, he played some decent football for Houston. So, heck, Houston could win. I could see them winning. Indianapolis sometimes loses to teams they shouldn't. But I'm going to pick Indianapolis to pick up the win here in an okay game. So my pick, Indianapolis Colts to improve to 6-2 and the Texans to drop to 2-6. And our final game of Week 9, the Chicago Bears, at the Green Bay Packers, at the Frozen Tundra, Lambeau Field, rivalry game, Monday Night Football. What more could you ask for as a football fan? Even though the teams aren't playing as good as some may have thought they were going into the season, they still are doing in pretty good shape. Packers 5-2. They're playing just like most people thought they would. Chicago's 4-3. Chicago always goes about 10-6, 9-7, sometimes 11-5. You'll never get like an outstanding year from the Bears. I've seen Brandon Marshall had that controversy with Merriweather from the Redskins. We'll see how the Bears go with that. Hope that's not too much of a distraction for the Chicago Bears. It's at Green Bay. They're coming off a 44-31 win over Minnesota. Big win for them. Bears had a bye last week. So they're coming off a loss 45-41 to the Redskins 2 weeks ago, but they did have a bye to recover from that. This game should be good. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers, home field advantage. It's Monday Night Football. The fans will be rowdy. They'll be loud. They'll be ready for this rivalry game. I think the Packers are going to bring it to the Bears. It should be a good game, though. I'd probably say like a 30-20 final is what I'll predict, maybe 31-20. So my pick, the Green Bay Packers, to pick up the win in this rivalry game over the Bears. Alright, and that is my picks. Concludes my picks for NFL Week 9. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, click the like button, the thumbs up. Comment below your predictions, or yeah, so check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks, guys.